Thank you, Mr Speaker. We have just found out in the last few weeks where the Premier has announced that she is going to be one of the members of her very own committee, the organising committee for the Olympics. And I want to pose this question to the Premier. How is the Premier going to deal with the fact that she is not only a member of that committee, the committee reports to her? She has the ability to direct that committee, issue directions. So this is an extraordinary situation where you have a Premier who, when asked about questions of integrity, and the heat is on in press conferences, pivots, turns the other way and says, "Got to go." And yet the issues of integrity matter. And I think it needs to be called out when you have a Premier who then appoints herself to a committee that she, in fact, also reports to herself on and can't explain how she's going to address those particular issues of conflicts of interest for her and her ministers. I support the Olympics. I support them being done right, though, and I do question the Premier's very flexible approach to integrity issues and conflicts of interest. But that shouldn't be a surprise from this Premier, because as we've found out, they've taken it to a new low in regard to pocketing the money of Labor-aligned lobbyists who have favoured status in getting access to ministers. It is corruption, or a risk of corruption, when you have ministers taking meetings with Labor-aligned lobbying firms and some of their staff who are under the legal requirement not to be lobbying, such as Denise Spinks, who was not long ago working for the Premier in the Premier's office, and yet that person is now working for a Labor-aligned lobbying firm who is donating big time to the Labor government. This is money laundering. And Labor passes laws to restrict donations to political parties and to also put requirements on how they're declared, and then comes up with this new inside way of laundering money to themselves, with contracts being awarded without going through the appropriate tendering process or scrutiny for some of the clients of these Labor-aligned lobbying firms. There is not only a risk of corruption, there's very real questions to be answered. But we've got Minister De Brenni, who took one of these meetings from one of the lobbying firm's staffers and then said, "Oh, well, it wasn't a formal meeting." Well, that doesn't stack up. They can try and launder the money, but they can't launder the truth. The truth must come out, and it's time they came clean.